Warning! Mild spoilers ahead. I may reveal a few characters, scenes, or plot points, but not in great detail. If you do not mind hearing a few tidbits, you'll be fine. But if you do not wish to be spoiled at all, you may not want to continue. You have been warned. Hi, I'm Dragon Ninja Rider, and welcome to my first episode of Reviews from an Honest Fangirl. I, of course, being the Honest Fangirl. My credentials are that I'm a certified high school English teacher. I worked 6 years as a teen librarian. Not only did I do collection building, but I also did the teen programming, which included me doing 5 Comic-Cons. The first one, I built a TARDIS out of cardboard, duct tape, and many cans of spray paint. Good times. I am also a self-published author. I have my own website and blog covering my interesting journey on trying to be an author. I've been writing for a very long time. I've always loved writing. I actually left my job as a librarian to pursue my dream as a writer. I love all things nerd, if you can't tell from looking at my part of my modest collection behind me. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So I created this series hoping to have some fun and to bring fun and joy to fellow fans who are so sick of the toxicity that has just brewed across all fan bases. There isn't a single fan base that has not been completely infiltrated by toxicity and craziness. Just the other day, I saw a particular animated fan base bashing a certain blue-eyed, blonde, somewhat clumsy, but still lovable and enduring, being bashed so harshly by so-called fans that they were calling for they wanted him to kick the bucket, and I was like, but he's a main what? So needless to say, it's official. Every single fan base has been toxified now. So I hope this series brings a little bit of joy to you in this insane world. And funny enough, I'm kicking it off with the Twilight series, specifically Midnight Sun. Partially because the new Midnight Sun came out last month, and also because of some of the insane stuff I saw online, so-called fans going on and on about the series and bashing it. I'm like, are you sure you're a fan? Because sure doesn't sound like it. And of course, plenty of people bashing it who haven't even read the books or anything. So hopefully this will bring a little bit of joy into your day. So, like I said, I'm starting off with Midnight Sun. I'm going to show a brief synopsis of the history of the Twilight franchise, along with the very interesting tale of how I became a Twilighter. So, hold tight after this brief history. Alright, I'm going to go over a brief history of the Twilight Saga, along with the very interesting tale of how I became a Twilighter. The first book in the Twilight series was published in 2005. The creation of this story came from a dream Stephenie Meyer had of 2 people talking in a meadow, which eventually, of course, would become the famous meadow scene in where Edward shows Bella his sparkly skin. There are 4 books in the main series: Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. The short second life of Bree Tanner was a novella that was released that takes place during the events of Eclipse. There were also 3 graphic novels that were created for the series. Sadly, the part 2 of New Moon was never released due to, if memory serves right, the illustrator became ill and they eventually simply scrapped the project. And sadly, I do not think we will ever get part 2, which is a shame because the artwork is fantastic. And there is also an official illustrated guide that gives background on all the characters in the entire series, including the Volturi, and fortunately for us Alice fans, the entire backstory of how Alice became a vampire. Team Alice. On the 10-year anniversary of Twilight, an alternate version known as Life and Death was released. It was a gender swap. The girl was the vampire, the boy, the sad, weak little human. Proving once and for all that if you are a human, it doesn't matter what gender you are, and if you're surrounded by supernatural creatures, you're not really going to stand much of a chance at all, unless you're Styles. But that's a totally different situation. So, there it goes. And now, of course, we have Midnight Sun, which is simply Twilight from Edward's point of view. The books were, of course, made into a major movie franchise made up of 5 movies. The final movie, Breaking Dawn Part 2, made $830 million worldwide, which was utterly fantastic and proving once and for all that there are a lot of us Twilighters out there. So, how did a Harry Potter, a Toku, an English teacher become a fan of sparkly vampires? Well, see, it's a kind of funny, interesting story, really. A moment that I look back on it and I think of the irony and just so much irony in it is that back in 2005-06, I'm pretty sure I had not graduated high school yet. I was helping a friend clean up her room, and she had a first edition copy of Twilight. I had picked it up and I asked her about it, and she's like, oh, it's about vampires. I instantly went gag. Due to my faith and my general preferences, I do not like gore. I don't like vampires, werewolves, all that. I just don't like gore. And so I just passed it along back to her, and she's like, insisted it was a good series, and I was like, yeah, whatever. So fast forward to 2008. It was already a really weird day. There was some weird stuff just trying to get out the door to go pick up my friend Tim and get to the movie theater. And all along the way to the theater, we saw a minor accident. So, very strange day. Finally get to the theater. We go to sit down to watch, that's right, Speed Racer. So, we're waiting. You know, the trailers start rolling. And there's a trailer for the first Twilight film. And Tim's like, hey, Kathleen, what's that? I'm like, oh, it's about vampires. You know, I'm not the least bit interested. Tim, however, shout out to him, by the way. Hey, Tim. Huge horror fan. He loves mythologies of all shapes, sizes, and gore factors. And so he was instantly enthralled by the thought of it. Thought it looked interesting. He went back, bought all the books that were out at the time, all 3 of them, and read them up. And then he called me up and he's like, Kathleen, you've got to read this. All right, now, so he claims I did not annoy the frack out. He did not annoy the frack out of me to read the series. I say different. I remember it was almost every single freaking conversation. Kathleen, have you read Twilight yet? No. Have you read it yet? No. Shut up. I don't like vampires. Read it. He just kept annoying me, kept reminding me also that he made me a fan of 3 different anime series and that I should not doubt what he says, etc. That he would never lead me wrong, blah, 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 blah. I said, finally, I just gave in. I'm like, fine, I will read it just to make you shut up. So, went out, bought the paperback. No intentions of keeping it. I fully intended to donate this paperback book once I was done with it. There was no way I was going to be into it. Sparkly, it was vampires. Vampires. Okay, so, and then in an ironic twist that is still not lost on me, 3 days later, hey, Tim, when did you say Breaking Dawn was coming out again? I just fell in love. Harry Potter, I can tell you in a very easy way why I fell in love with Harry Potter. Twilight's a little more complicated. I can't explain it. It's an enigma in my usual tastes. I usually prefer tons of action, a little bit of romance. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Aragon. Twilight is an enigma because it's mostly romance with a small amount of action. I think partially was that I connected very much with Bella. She's, ironically, of course, funny enough, not my favorite character, but I do have a connection with her. I was the kind of teenager who did not connect well with other kids my age. I have an old soul. I was reading classics,
before most of my classmates would even consider them to read them. I was a very big reader, and I didn't connect with many people, except for, of course, Tim and a few other friends. But, you know, so I really connected with Bella. Bella and I had this connection, and Alice is my spirit animal. Short, terrifying little monster. Doesn't get any more my spirit animal than that. And funny enough, I am actually a whole inch taller than her. So I'm taller than my favorite vampire. Go figure. Anyway, so that 3 days later, that was the end of that. I became attached to Twilight, which I also can understand why I became so enthralled with it, because it was becoming near the end of the Harry Potter series at the time. So, you know, it was kind of a flow thing. In 2008, of course, Breaking Dawn was released at midnight. Went to the midnight release for it. Then went to the midnight release for the first movie, which was an interesting adventure in and of itself. There was a snowstorm. My one college friend, Jen, drove us. Hey, Jen. Shout out to you, girl. And she drove me, Tim, and two other friends. We made it there in one piece. There was some technical difficulties when we were watching the film, but it was still didn't bother us too much. Took us forever to get back through the snow. Slept over at her house for a couple hours because it was, you know, because of the snow and everything, and then we finally made it home in one piece. But it was interesting. So from there, you know, we went to all the midnight releases. Then when we could, I actually, for the DVD relaunch for the first movie, I won the costume contest, lost the trivia contest, but I won the costume contest dressed as Alice, which you can sort of see in this photo, where I actually got to meet Peter Facinelli, aka Carlisle Cullen. He did a meet and greet at a local shop, local mall, and gave me a hug. Nicest guy, just so sweet, so awesome. I want to say it was before Eclipse. I want to say it was in between New Moon and Eclipse. I'm pretty sure at the time. So pretty awesome. He signed one of my movie guides. Totally just fantastic. Just really good times. So, yeah, like I said, I have a connection with Bella. I enjoyed the nuances of the story. The vampire lore was different from everything else I had ever read. That was the key. It was not your typical vampire story. And that's what I think a lot of people liked. A lot of us who were not gore fans fell in love with Twilight because it was just this interesting kind of horror fantasy romance, and it was just so different from a lot of the other stuff we've ever read. And that's what I think made me fall in love with it and stick with it and everything, and continue to love it. Lots of great memories attached to it. Henceforth, of course, I'm making this video for the release, you know, of Midnight Sun. You know, so it's like, I also, you know, I want to make sure that a lot of these videos, especially for like Twilight fans, know there are other fans out there who are tired of the anger and the negativity and the craziness from Twi haters and the so-called ex-Twilight fans who are like, so, oh, well, we've seen the light kind of rubbish that's been going on, especially lately. That, you know, there is a fangirl out there who understands it all and wants to share the love. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing these videos. Not just for Twilight, but for other series too, of course, but, you know. And as you can see in the, you know, various videos, various photos of things we've done, including my one birthday cake, and that's from the New Moon DVD launch. Not one of my better Alice outfits, unfortunately. Just, it was really hard to recreate some of those outfits, darn it, after the first Twilight movie. And then, yeah, the big guy that you saw also in the other picture, that's Tim. So we'll just move along now on to the next section of this video.
Hope you enjoyed that rather intriguing tale of how I became a Twilighter. Moving along to the rather intriguing saga of how Midnight Sun finally came to be. Stephenie Meyer had come to us fans saying, you know, hey, I'm going to write the first Twilight book from Edward's point of view, because she'd partially written parts from Edward's point of view, and then she came around and said, you know what, I'm going to give you guys a treat and write the first book from Edward's point of view. And we're all like, yay, because That's unprecedented. I honestly, this is the only full-fledged novel that I know of, at least YA-wise, where the author went back and rewrote the entire book from another character's point of view. You get short stories and stuff like that, Divergent and Selection series, sure, from other characters' points of view, but not a full-fledged novel, like, talk about your sparkly vampire treasure trove. Anyway, so we wait and wait. We're hanging out. All things hunky-dory, and then tragedy hits. Author's worst nightmare. I know it's one of my worst case scenario nightmares. One of Stephenie Meyer's friends, the jerk, leaked the manuscript online, and she was devastated. And believe me, I could understand. I was totally sympathetic. I could understand. So in the end, she shelved the project. She's like, at this point, the Collins would all die. I'm shelving it. Forget it. I'm done. So, that was just the way it was. Yeah, we got Life and Death, which was pretty cool, and answered and pointed out a few things that people still harp about, even though Life and Death pointed them out so beautifully. But shelve that rant for Twilight Saga review. So, never thought we could get Midnight Sun. I mean, even though we had an ally, Stephenie Meyer's mom, we all owe her big time. She's in the dedication page. She's the reason why we got Midnight Sun. So I feel like us as a fan base, we need to buy her a fruit basket and a big, huge thank you card. Every holiday, birthday, whatever, Stephenie Meyer's mom would turn to her and say, this isn't what I want. You know what I want. So thank you so much, Stephenie Meyer's mom. Anyway, yeah. Come to 2020, just saying that speaks for itself. Countdown shows up on Stephenie Meyer's website. Tim calls me up. He's like, oh my gosh, I hope it's Midnight Sun. It's not Midnight Sun. I'm all pessimistic over here. I'm like, no. It's 2020. No. Maybe we'll get, the mermaid book she mentioned she kind of wanted to do years back, a sequel to Host or something like that. It's not going to be Midnight Sun. No way. I don't know. Something tweaked me. I don't know. Intuition, whatever. I went onto the website and I saw that Midnight Sun draft was gone. I'm like, interesting. Because she had posted one of the partial drafts she had of Midnight Sun for us to read, just so we wouldn't feel guilty trying to find it and stuff, and so that we could, at least enjoy the parts, that, at least parts of it. I had it saved myself to my flash drive and everything, and I read through it, after I realized it wasn't on there, and I thought, no way. Can't get to the day. Countdown to 0. Go figure. In true fandom style, website crashes. Shock. So I'm like, dang, blast it. So I rush over to the Facebook pages. There was nothing posted on there. I'm like, dang it. So I go to Twitter. Surely somebody got through. No, not a single. No. Really? Dang it. So I'm like scrolling through. Everybody's asking, has anyone got through? No. I'm like, dang it. Really? And then I saw something at the bottom of my search results. I'm like, that's not real. That is not real. And I clicked on the tweet and it said, this is on the publisher's website. I'm like, this is not real. Go over to, and I'm like, stupid, duh. Little Brown and Company. Go over there. Type in Midnight Sun. It's Midnight Sun. There's the cover. Whew. I was stunned. I took a screenshot, sent it to Tim. He messaged me back. Stephenie Meyer just announced it on GMA. After I pre-ordered it, I got straight up, went to the bathroom, deepest of my heart and my lungs, let out a horror movie worthy fangirl scream. Midnight Sun. I was on adrenaline high the whole day. Fast forward to when I finally get the book. It was delayed a day. I thought I was going to be delayed several days. That was what it was telling me, and I was freaking. I'm like, do I have to buy? I'm going to have to buy the Kindle version. I'm not waiting this long. No, I've waited long enough. Lucked out. Came out the next day. Didn't have to buy the Kindle version. Because, poor. So, I savored that sucker. I savored it. And it was an emotional roller coaster. I was fangirl giggling and so forth between every paragraph. So much nostalgia, memories, and so forth. And I savored that sucker. I actually went down to South a couple of weeks to help friends move into a new house, and I finished it down there, and it just the emotions, which leads me to the actual review portion of this video. So on to the review. Okay, if you haven't already probably figured it out, my official review for Midnight Sun is 5 bright, sparkly stars. Midnight Sun was a real amazing trip for someone who's, read the entire series and deeply enjoyed it. Not just because we get to be in Edward's point of view, or Edward's head, but because of his mind reading, we get to be in a lot of other characters' heads. That was, human, vampire, shape-shifting werewolf, wolf, semantics. So, we got to interact with, a coven. We got an interaction with a coven that I didn't, in a flashback, that was a pleasant surprise. We got to learn more about one particular vampire's power and how it works, which was really cool. We get to see the powers, actually being used. Not just a summary in the official guide, but, and Edward actually, seeing it being in use. And that was a really fabulous thing. So, it was really a great trip. And, I didn't think I could fall more in love with Emmett and Esme, but I did. Love that grizzly bear and that vampire mama, gotta love them. And, of course, Morales. And with the whole thing with, there were scenes, the fight scene at the end with James. I was looking forward to that because to get to see what really truly happened. I mean, in the movie, we see Alice rip James's head off. I wish that kind of been the case. It wasn't it wasn't quite how it went down in the book. I won't spoil, but poor Emmett. He can't. Jasper stole his thunder. Anyway, so really, certain scenes just, wow. It really was amazing to get to, it's amazing kind of how Edward does kind of edit things for Bella. And he even says to himself, should I really edit this? I really should tell her the full story. That way she'll run away and know that she's being crazy and that this is a bad idea. It's yeah, I still don't see you editing you're still editing yourself, Mr. Cullen. Yeah, whatever. But, one thing that didn't impact me that much and probably should have more was after the incident with Tyler's van, and the Cullens are all debating whether or not Bella should live or die. And it's I don't know why that did not, I don't know, because they're vampires, I don't know. It just seems logical that they would talk about it. I mean, in the vampire world, everybody's family, and mobster gangster thing. That's what I get for reading all these Batman things before I do this. Anyway, so, and I mean, the ultimate family mobster, mobsters in the vampire world, of course, it's Volturi. And they have to take into account, they may not have they're not human anymore, but they're still living technically, and they want to live it out as far as they, as an attorney will let them, and they don't want the Volturi coming down on their heads. And so I understand Rosaline. I really do. That doesn't make me like that blonde vampire anymore. Really doesn't. And Edward tried. He actually did try, Darn it, Edward did try, thank you very much. So, oof. Still, anyway, just a lot of insight into certain bits. And just understanding the vampire world and just Edward being a vampire, yeah, we got to see that from Bella's point of view, but still was kind of limited because she was a newborn vampire. She skipped the bloodlust and everything because she was mentally prepped, as Stephenie Meyer has mentioned before about, the whole thing. And, so it was definitely different from being in a vampire who's been around a while. Even with, we got to be in Bree's head for the short second life of Bree Tanner. She was still a newborn vampire and very different from what happened to Edward. So really just amazing. And such a treat to be in not just Edward's head, but in a lot of other characters' heads and understanding their powers better. And, you know, getting to see more in-depth scenes that were just mentioned in passing and so forth. And one thing with Edward, it's like, he's beautifully imperfect. Any author worth their salt makes perfectly imperfect characters. They're not meant to be perfect. They're not supposed to be. And especially with Twilight, it's supposed to be more like just, it's a horror fantasy, in technical terms, romance. And, you know, and I don't know, there's so many frustrating different things. One thing I'll focus on with it is that, you know, Edward is a vampire. All right. And he is not the first vampire to go stalking people. Okay. The whole vampire. Edward's such a stalker, blah, blah. Okay. He points it out himself, okay, in this. He straight up says, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm being a stalker, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Like, he points out to himself, at least I'm not being actually like a peeping Tom. Okay, he wasn't being a peeping Tom. Thank you very much. He even points that out, which I pointed out before, but anyway. So, and he's not being like that, you know, what the traditional, like, trope with stalkers or real-life stalkers, like, it wasn't any of that. He was just trying to freaking figure out why this deliciously smelling human was, you know, driving him insane. So, you know, he's a vampire. And, you know, and I can think of, I'm not a vampire person. I've mentioned, you know, before in this, I'm not a vampire person. This is an outlier for me when it comes to what I usually read. And granted, I have seen and watched some vampire stuff. I'm not big into them, but I can think of another vampire series where definitely stalker, like straight up stalker behavior. Everybody praises that series, even though the TV show went to pot. Anyway, it was pretty mild compared to a lot of other vampires. You know, that is nothing new. So, I don't know why I ever get whatever. Anyway, so he admits it. He's not being a peeping Tom, and he's just trying to figure Bella out. You know, with some of his behavior excusable? No. I'm not. I'll cover some of that stuff when I do the entire series. Like, should have kept that window shut, Bella. He deserved to be out there for the night. But anyway, that's again for another video. So, yeah. I'm sorry. Edward, he was just trying to figure her out. He wasn't being a stalker, you know, so that's complete horse hockey. Anyway, so this book was if you're a hardcore Twilight fan, I cannot recommend this enough. If you haven't gotten a chance to read it yet, or if you can't afford it, go to your local librarians, beg to them, please buy. They'll buy it for you. They'll get it. They'll find a way to get it for you. You can't do interlibrary loans if it's because it's so new, but they'll figure a way to get a copy in. A lot of libraries are working around, you know, everything that's going on right now, the craziness. So a lot of libraries, fortunately, are getting to reopen up and so forth. So my ex-colleagues are working so hard and so forth, like all the educators are. So, you know, shout out to them. So, you know, you need to read it. You know, put it on your Christmas list, etc. If you or you know, go to your local library and see if you can and get it. If you can't afford it, or you know, you've just been and eyeing about it, go get it. Do it. It is such an emotional journey. One thing I would definitely want to say, if you are a hardcore Twilighter, you've been with it since almost the beginning and like I have, if you didn't read the dedication page, go back and do it. And when you do, I won't spoil what's in there, but take a pen with you when you do it. Have a pen beside you when you do it. When I finished reading this, I stopped at the prom scene. And just because I like putting myself through the emotional ringer, I put on Fightless Bird, American Mouth, of course, the song from the prom scene in the first movie. And I listened to that as I finished reading it, savoring that, you know, this is a heck of a way to finish the series. I'm okay with never getting any more. This is worth it to get to read that from Edward's point of view one last time. Brand new, you know, kind of, sort of. And I just happened to flip through to the dedication part in the back, and a lot of tears of joy, like Harry Potter ending, last book joy, seventh book joy, not tears of anger and anguish, because why the heck would you do that after all these years of investment? Tears. Thanks a lot for nothing. That's a video for another day. Anyway, so definitely, if you haven't read that last Dedication Fan, and you've been a fan for a long time, make sure you grab a pen when you do. So it's a great read if you love Twilight, and if you're just even a casual fan, just do it just so you can relive some of the good memories you got attached to it. Like I said, I've so many memories, so many good times, and you know, definitely worth it, every penny. I love Twilight in this series. Just the Midnight Sun was a great swan song to it, and to relive some of that magic. And well, that's my honest review of Midnight Sun, the Twilight Saga. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. I had a lot of technical difficulties trying to get this video knitted together. So I hope you enjoyed this. The next video will be all of my favorite spooky things. It will be my Halloween kind of special. I'll be going over several different graphic novels, movies, and so forth, video games even maybe. I did a short thing on my blog last year. And I will have a link to my blog below on my website, dragonninjawriter.com. So you can, check out everything that I've done, and how my writing journey is going. It's a pretty stressful one. I'm trying to do a second edition of my first self-published novel, and also write a novel to get it traditionally published at the same time. So, all sorts of interesting stress there. So, so this is meant to be a fun series, and as time goes along, make sure you hit that subscribe bell. You can't find out when I post a new video unless you hit that bell. And make sure to, if you like this, give me a like, thumbs up. So hope to do more. Like I said, next month will be Halloween, and oh my gosh, yes. Okay, as I'm doing this video, I just realized a new book from the series that made me angry tears. That author released a new book, and Friday, of course, would have hopefully started reading it by now. Yay! So hopefully, so hopefully, if I like that book, I will do that then for November, and I'll push Ranger's Apprentice forward into probably December. I really want to do Ranger's Apprentice because it is an underrated YA series. It is such a great series. I really want to do that next. So Halloween, maybe Ranger's Apprentice in November if I end up not liking the new novel. If I do like the new novel will be in November. And then December will be Ranger's Apprentice. That's the tentative schedule, once a month. So again, if you like this video, if you enjoyed my strange ramblings, make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe bell so you don't miss a video. Shout out to my friend Tim. I'll leave a link down below for his YouTube video. He's starting out doing reviews and things, so and analysis and whatnot. And he has an OG, an original character. Sorry. So check all that out and things. So thank you for watching. Be safe.